I had just realized he was defecating when his hand disappeared down the seat of his pants and emerged a few seconds later clutching a small package. Quickly he passed it to the other man, clearly his customer. Then, without a backward glance, the pusher adjusted his belt and returned to his position on the street. The police officer stretched across the princess and switched off the video with a click. Her hands were still clutched theatrically to her face, the shock of what she had seen still obvious in her eyes as she peeped from between her fingers. She caught my glance and giggled. Obscenity usually made her giggle. "Ugh! Talk about a video nasty. I hope you arrested him." "Oh, he's an old friend, ma'am, and so are most of his customers. We keep them under surveillance with these TV cameras. Then we move in when we've got the evidence we need." The inspector stood up and reached for his leather jacket. There was a whiff of aftershave. He looked every inch TV's idea of an undercover cop. I had noticed the princess register his star quality as we arrived at his office half an hour earlier. That was good. An attractive male lead always brought out the best in our unpredictable royal performer. "If you're ready," he said, heading for the door with an athlete's easy grace. His amused expression promised further treats in store. The princess followed him meekly. Her eyes were demurely lowered, as if to retain the image she had just seen. I knew she was enjoying herself. She was fascinated by the forbidden. 2 minutes later we were outside, on the late rush-hour streets of King's Cross. Night had fallen. It started to rain. Out of the darkness a solitary flashbulb popped. I heard the Nikon's motor drive as my boss reacted with a loud sigh of exasperation. "Oh, wretched press! They follow me everywhere." The plaintive note was easy to hear. Too easy, I thought. "You're overdoing it." But it earned her a sympathetic look from our handsome guide, so that was good too. As we moved unnoticed into the hurrying crowds, I took up my familiar position, slightly behind the tall figure with the expensively casual hairdo. Tonight she was in black jeans and a short, sexy jacket. This was our version of incognito. The Princess of Wales, icon of the oppressed and champion of the socially excluded, was beginning another secret fact-finding tour. Tramping round King's Cross that night, I felt again the familiar wrench in my gut. It always came when I thought of where the princess had been and where she was going. The sensation was becoming much more frequent. It was the same feeling you get on a roller coaster as it stops climbing and begins to dive toward the ground. She had been so high. The future queen. Now she was still high, at least with the people we were meeting on the street, and the papers said she was a phenomenon, the looks of a supermodel and the heart of a saint. But I knew the truth. I had seen many saintly things done in her name, and if she was not exactly saint material herself, as she would be quick to agree, she had certainly done a lot of suffering. Not all of it had been done in public either, as some would have you believe. Now, however, she was floundering. Where once she had been the ideal young wife and mother, now she was a self-proclaimed adulteress. Where once she had been worshipped by charities, now she was worshipped for her photo spreads. Where once she had summoned Air Force jets, now she cadged lifts in planes smelling of rich men's cologne. True, there were always going to be causes begging for this kind of celebrity patronage, and she had built up deep reserves of public sympathy. She still had that magical forgivability. But I knew these were the gifts more of others' mistakes than of her shining virtues. I knew she had begun to believe her own publicity, just as I was believing it less and less. I felt there was now no way back to the happy certainties of my early days at the palace. How had it all changed? 8 years earlier, it had all been so different. Another world, almost another universe.